Time for sound design. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to get beyond the 4-bar or the 8-bar loop when you're creating music. So when you start out making electronic music in Ableton or any other software, or when you use hardware sequencers, it's very easy to get stuck in a loop that's maybe 2, 4, or 8 bars in length, and you add more sounds and sounds to this loop, and the loop itself sounds really great, but it's not a track. After listening to this loop for a while, you might wonder, like, how can I make it longer? How can I keep it interesting? So this is the first video of a series of 3, where in each video I will discuss one approach that I use to get not stuck in a loop and to create an arrangement with more variation. In this video, the approach I'm gonna use is to keep all the sounds that you have from your initial loop. So don't add any more sounds, but change what it actually plays to create a variation. Without further ado, let's get into Ableton and let's get started creating a variation. This is the loop that I created. It's an 8-bar loop with basically it's 2 times 4 bars with a little bit of variation at the bar 7 and 8. So let me play this for you. So I think this is a nice starting point for a track. It has different elements. It has a little bit of everything. So to start with, it has a sample of a chord and a piano chord at the end. Then in the Drift synthesizer, I created 2 chords, made a copy, flattened it to audio, and chopped it up. So that's the arpeggiator sound. Then it has a bass made from 1 sample tuned in to different notes. It has a field recording of that I made with my phone in the subway in the morning. Then it has another texture from a sample, and then some simple drums. So a kick, a snare, and some kind of shaker percussive element. Sort of like a brush thing. It is sort of a complete loop in the sense that it has a melody, it has a bass, it has percussion, texture. It kind of covers all the different frequencies. So yeah, the challenge is now to take the sounds from this 8-bar loop without adding anything else. I can transform the sounds to create a B part. So this is the A part, to create a B part that kind of relates to this, but is different and kind of mixes it up. And then later in the arrangement, you can either make this the sort of the verse and then the B part the chorus, or this is maybe the chorus and the other part is the bridge or the verse or some kind of thing. It doesn't really matter. The point is to create a variation that kind of relates to this, but is different enough so that as a listener you feel like, okay, the song is going somewhere, the track is going somewhere. So the first thing to do is to mark another 8 bars and to think about what sound do I start with. So one of the things I would like to keep is the textures. So let's first copy that. I think it's a nice background bed for the track. And the other thing I would like to use is this chord. It's an E minor 7 chord. And I think I reversed it, or just took the beginning maybe. Yeah, it is reversed. So it has a filter and a delay. And you really get that reversey kind of feel. So maybe this is something we can work with to create, to transform. So first I'm going to look at the loop length. But if we make this longer or take a different part of the sample. And what if I take the filter out? So let's take the filter out, but I do want to filter it. So I'm going to add a second filter, but in a static way. I'm calling this auto filter 2, and then also add an automation lane to enable this filter for this part of the track. And let's use this the full 8 bars. So just to compare to the first part, if I mute everything else. So it's more constant, it's more like a pad. Maybe we can change the length as well to make it. And then maybe towards the end we can open up the filter to go back to the A part So it's now at 1000 Hertz. So maybe in the last bar we do like this. Just some filter automation to get back to the A part. So if we play this now. You can also feel that it's much louder. Maybe change that later, but for now let's keep it. So one thing I think I won't use is the arpeggiator. So it's the drift sound here on track 4. That's kind of a prominent part, so let's keep that for part A. What I do want to use is the bass. And for now, let's just copy the entire bass. And I want to use some of the percussion. Let's copy the kick, but create a different pattern. So let's loop this part only. And so maybe we can make the bass a bit more minimal to take away some of the notes. So what if I take away these ones? Or maybe this one too. And let's create a different kick pattern as well. So also one less kick. And then we have this kind of brush sample. What if we pitch that up and make it a bit more like a hi-hat? So there's 1 octave up, and maybe increase that so it's a bit more fast, like this. And let's lower the volume of this first. For now, maybe actually don't use the sub A texture because it's kind of maybe too prominent. So yeah, so I think this is not bad at all, actually. It's nice that the part A is sort of the more busy part with the drift arpeggio. And then when you get to part B, it's a bit more quiet. The drums change a little bit. The bass is more minimal. And the main sort of the E minor 7 chord sample changes. But then in the end, you have the automation of the filter opening up again. So it's a bit more muted and then it opens up again back to part A. The only thing I want to do is to use this piano sample to bring that somewhere back in the B part. Let's make a copy and let's mute all the other tracks. So can we use this? So I'm only using the tail. So what if we at the end of every 2 bars basically bring this in? So mute this chord, mute this. So yeah, that's pretty nice. The only thing I want to do now, I think, is something with the hi-hat. So I pitched it up, but I feel it's a bit too static. What if you do a very short delay on this? Get a bit more movement. And stereo feel. So I'm going to enable the delay only for part B. Let's add the kick and the snare. And maybe create a bit of auto panning as well. Not too much and not too fast. So yeah, that's it for this video. This is the first approach of how to create a B part if you have an A part by using the same sounds, but changing what they play, changing some of the, for instance, the loop points of, if you have a looped sample, adding some effects. So there's some effect automation that the effects only turn on in the B part, and chopping up things in different way, removing stuff like the arpeggiator, one of the textures. But it's all sort of done with the same sounds that I had, so I didn't have to add any new instruments. By doing it in this way, you automatically have a relation to the A part because you still hear the same sounds, they just play slightly different in slightly different way. Stay tuned for part 2 and 3 of this video series where I will use different approaches to create a B part. Let me know in the comments how you create B parts if you have an A part loop. What are your techniques for this? And as always, see you in the next one.